In this video, we are going to be taking a look at JSX. So, it might seem that the react.createElement nonsense will get very, very, very tiresome. And if you know anything about React, and you've seen any React applications, you have seen this funky sort of HTML-like language sort of embedded into the JavaScript files. A whole new non-standard JavaScript extension created by Facebook, and it's basically a different syntax for creating elements, and that's it. The reason I started off by showing you guys return React create element is I just want to emphasize that when I show you JSX, it is not HTML. It does not create elements. It does not do document.createElement. It does not select an element using jQuery or anything like that. It returns the shadow DOM. And it does so by compiling into calls to react.createElement. So let's go ahead and see what this example would look like if I use JSX instead of React create element. So I'm going to return, and I'm going to open up and close parentheses. I'll explain why I'm doing the parentheses here in a second. And then inside of this, I'm just leaving this return statement so I can match up exactly. I'll delete this whole thing once I'm done rewriting it in JSX. So to write in JSX, we simply open up a tag like HTML. We'll open up section, maybe give it a class name of site wrap, then close it, and then we might have an h1 with a header, and then we might have a p tag with lorem ipsum, which again, the generator for lorem ipsum doesn't work in this context. So compare the two things. This is the JSX syntax, which is non-standard JavaScript. It's a language extension added by Facebook and is only understood by Babel or other transpilers. It's only understood by a transpiler, and the transpiler will take this JSX and it'll turn it into this. And I can prove that by going ahead and just deleting that. We don't need that anymore. Hit Control S, and let me find my Chrome window. It ran off somewhere. And we get the exact same output that we got before. So I want to do one more thing, and then we're going to pop over to Babel Online and actually take a look at what this code compiles down into. So the next place that we can use JSX anywhere where you would use react.createElement, which includes down here. I can simply say app component and then make a self-closing tag. And that will give us the exact same output as before. So now I'm using JSX, which is really where React shines, being able to write an HTML-like language right inside of our JavaScript and have React manage it. There's a couple things I want to point out really quickly, though. Notice, first of all, that we're still using class name. Now this looks like HTML, so you'd be very tempted to do class equals site wrap, but that's not going to work. In fact, I wonder if I even... Yeah, in fact, I get a warning from it. React definitely improved their warning system and error system since I was learning it. But it says, warning, unknown DOM property class. Did you mean class name? So it becomes kind of confusing when we're looking at JSX syntax and we're really tempted to do things that we would do before in HTML, but you can't. You have to remember that the properties well, in this case, I guess we would call them attributes. The attributes or props that we use on these elements correspond to the properties of the actual DOM element, not what we type into HTML. JSX is not HTML. Another thing I want to point out, look how app component is capitalized here. But if I didn't capitalize it, it wasn't capitalized at all, and I saved it out, notice how we now have a blank page. Well, it's not quite blank. If I open up and inspect, notice how in our application root we now have this element called app component. That is because JSX treats elements that start with an uppercase different than elements that start with a lowercase. The basic difference is JSX treats the elements that start with an uppercase as either functions or component classes, whereas it treats elements starting with a lowercase as HTML elements. And we'll see how that plays out here in a moment. The final thing I want to point out is the render method must return one element. Now you might be saying, well, there's 3 elements here. Well, yeah, there are 3 elements, but there's one parent. You have to wrap whatever you return from render into some sort of parent element. So that's a really important thing to understand. It'll affect how you separate your components out, how you architect them. It must return one thing. Now the parentheses, these parentheses are significant. And the reason why is if I remove them, we get a couple errors. Well, not an error, an ESLint warning, unreachable code. And this is a holdover for an unfortunate feature of JavaScript. JavaScript actually allows you to omit semicolons, which you should not do. I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot fathom the people who the proponents of omitting semicolons in JavaScript. It boggles my mind. But the thing about, the reason I'm talking about semicolons right now is when JavaScript sees a return statement like this, without any additional expression, it will, behind the scenes, conveniently for you, look how beginner friendly it is without semicolons, it'll behind the scenes add a semicolon right there. Meaning this code down here is now unreachable and doesn't do anything, and it just straight up returns. So we need to do one of two things. We need to add the parentheses, which is my preferred method, or you can omit the parentheses, but make sure that your JSX starts on the same line as the return. However, that looks really ugly. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to use the parentheses. You could also, the only times where I don't use parentheses is if I'm returning a JSX element on one line. Like if I said return button, hey there, right? Then I wouldn't use the parentheses because they're not needed. But every other instance, I will use parentheses and I'll drop it down an indentation level so that it looks nice and pretty. Okay, so that is basically JSX. We'll be talking a whole lot about JSX throughout the course. We'll see a lot of different ways that we can use it. In the next example, we're also going to see different ways that we can use it. But right now, I want to talk about how this compiles down. If you guys don't believe me, so I'm going to take this code, and this is what I'm about to show you guys is a really useful way for people who are learning Babel, who haven't worked with transpilers much, or are working with a weird language extension made by Facebook that's completely non-standard and never will be, probably, maybe not. I'm not sure. It would be kind of cool if JSX became standard, but I'm really not sure how that would play out. Anyway, a really good sort of technique to help you guys understand this is by going to Babel Online. What's the URL? babeljs.io /REPL. So if you go to babeljs.io /REPL, REPL stands for read, evaluate, print loop, which this will execute your code for you. You can come in here and you can paste down your code, and it'll show you what Babel is going to turn it into. Now it's important to understand the presets that I have. I'm not using any preset. Well, I was using other presets, but I meant to only be using the React preset, because if I use the ES2015 preset, then it'll transpile the class into code that browsers can understand that don't understand classes, and that just muddies up the example a lot. So I'm going to turn off the ES2015 preset. And we can see that our JSX code on the left gets transpiled literally. I mean, in case you didn't believe me, gets transpiled literally into the react.createElement calls that we had before. But notice, watch this right here. So react.createElement app component. Watch this. I'm going to come over here on the left-hand side. Keep your eyes on the right-hand side. I'm going to change the uppercase A to a lowercase a. So that's the difference between an uppercase. And so I'm just trying to drive this point home. It's really important to understand. If you use a lowercase, it passes in a string as the first parameter to create element. If create element receives a string as the first element, it considers it to be an HTML node. If you pass in an uppercase function or class or variable or whatever into react.dom.render, or into JSX rather, it's not specific to react.dom.render, then it'll pass in that class or that function. And when react.createElement receives a function instead of a string, or a class instead of a string, which a class is just a function, it will then actually instantiate that component and invoke the render method on it. So it's important to understand that. It's also important to understand that JSX is valid everywhere. So, I can say alert h1 whoa if I wanted to, and alert React create element h1. I mean, I could just put it down here. I can say div hello world there, and now it just says react.create. So it really just literally translates whatever JSX it finds into these React create element calls. So I think that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, we're going to flesh out our example a little bit more, talk about events, which are super fun. I want to leave you guys with one little interesting thing that I think is super fantastic. This react.createElement call doesn't necessarily need to be invoking React. Not only can you can make your own thing called React and your own method called createElement that does whatever you want with this JSX syntax. Or you can even go so far as to tell Babel, instead of doing react.createElement, instead of turning JSX into react.createElement, turn it into something else. Turn it into ble dot, or just ble even. Or how about ren createElement, a straight up createElement call. And you can make it turn it into that instead with a pragma. And why is that important? Well, I haven't done this in any production application, but I find that even if you're not using React, you can still use JSX. Imagine instead of doing const el equals document createElement h1 el class name equals el inner text equals ble, right? Imagine instead of having to type that all the time in a vanilla JavaScript application that doesn't use React, imagine being able to do const el equals, well, that's el2 because it's const, h1 class name equals hey, blah. I think that's a really exciting proposition. And all you need to do is tell Babel, instead of invoking react.createElement, transpile it into a different method call that understands the signature and returns fully hydrated created elements. So, just a fun little tidbit. But again, I just want to stress, the shadow DOM is not elements. In this case, because react.createElement can return whatever it wants. What it returns is its own little internal representation. I mean, I could come here, I can say console log app component, right? So I can log that out. And then I can come back here and open up my console, and I can take a look at this shadow DOM element. So this is all just React specific. This tells React what to do. And notice, I might be beating a dead horse here, but so I have app component here, and I have an h1 here for the second one. Notice how the first one has a type, which is a function app component, but the second one has a type, which is a string h1. So it's the difference between a custom component and an HTML element. But yeah, I can go ahead and just nuke all that. In the next video, we are going to be talking about events and state and props and binding and all that fun stuff. And we'll see you guys then.